If you're a Monster Hunter player trying to get into Souls games, there's a good chance you've bounced off them before. And honestly, I don't think it was because of the difficulty. I bet the games just felt bad. They didn't click. So here's everything I think Monster Hunter players should know before getting into Souls. Because if you don't know this stuff, the whole genre feels wrong. When I made my video about getting into Monster Hunter as a Souls player, the biggest thing I talked about was that Monster Hunter isn't really built around rolling through attacks. Souls games are. Instead of trying to position around attacks and rolling through them if you have to, or if you make a mistake, in Souls games you have to reverse this mindset. You should start by assuming you're going to have to roll through the attacks, and as you learn the fight, you'll figure out which attacks you can safely position around. The best example of this are charge attacks. If you saw someone rolling straight into a Diablos charge, you'd think they were stupid. But in Souls, a well-timed forward dodge is often the safest and most consistent way to avoid these kinds of moves. Strafing can actually be more dangerous. A great example is Vort of the Boreal Valley. When he charges at you, your first instinct might be to run away or try to avoid him. But honestly, the easiest solution is to roll directly into the charge. If your timing is right, you'll take no damage. Any Monster Hunter player probably just cringed hearing me say this, but that's how these games work. Basically, Souls games are built around timing your dodges. You can use a shield to make things easier, but unless you build around it, which you're not going to know how to do if you're just getting into these games, you're going to have to roll some things. It's a timing game, like perfectly cooking your well-done steaks. The next thing that you need to understand is that Souls games are way more of an RPG than they first appear. Your armor matters, but it's nothing like Monster Hunter. If you're stuck, the best thing to do is almost always explore more and get some levels. No matter what stat you level up, you gain a little extra defense. My endgame Dark Souls 3 character has roughly the same defense completely naked as my new character does wearing full knight armor. That's how much passive defense you gain through leveling. Here is the difference shown in-game when I get hit by the same attacks. The only thing different here is how high of a level I am. This applies from Demon Souls all the way to Elden Ring. Levels matter. A lot. The other reason exploration matters is because there are a ton of things hidden around the world that make your character stronger. The biggest one is weapon upgrades. Just like Monster Hunter, upgrading your weapons is one of the main ways you increase your damage. The difference is that instead of crafting entirely new weapons, you can upgrade the weapon you already like. And these upgrades matter a lot. Most bosses only live for a few minutes, if that. Every point of extra damage you deal makes the entire fight easier. Upgrade materials also come in tiers. In Dark Souls 3, for example, you have shards, large shards, and chunks. If you want to upgrade your weapon in Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls, God help you, just look it up. Once you start finding the next tier of materials, you can make the game significantly easier by upgrading your weapon to the end of the current tier before you start fighting the new bosses. And Souls games absolutely expect you to explore. Dark Souls 1 literally requires that you find an item to continue upgrading your weapon past +5. The game never tells you to go get it. You're just expected to discover it. Now I need to talk about the infamous get good of the Souls games. Let me say something a lot of Souls players won't like hearing. Most of the things in these games that feel like bullshit don't involve getting good. They involve learning some sort of trick. If something feels like complete bullshit, you're probably doing it wrong. Take the Taurus Demon, for example. You might be hitting him for 20 damage when you first get here. Instead of slamming your head into the wall trying to fight him normally, turn around, climb up the ladder behind you, and plunging attack him for half his health. Souls games do this constantly. Sometimes it's a plunging attack, sometimes it's an item, sometimes it's just that you're not meant to be in this area yet. If something feels impossible, don't immediately assume you're supposed to brute force it because your friend said the game is hard. If you're really frustrated, just look it up. Treat it like learning a new weapon in Monster Hunter. You can do it on your own, but is that really going to be a fun process? If yes, then, it's your playthrough, do whatever you want. This is just my recommendation. Speaking of looking things up, one of the most important things you'll find while exploring are upgrades to your healing. Purists are going to hate me for saying this, but especially in Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, and to a lesser extent Elden Ring, I fully recommend just looking these up. Most of these healing items are hidden in just random corners of the map, behind illusory walls, or just they're not really in places where you're going to stumble upon them. They're very easy to overlook, miss, and then spend most of the game feeling like you just don't have enough healing. Especially in Dark Souls 2, if I ever replay that game, I often find myself consulting YouTube. The last thing that I'll say is that Souls games are often trying to test something very different than Monster Hunter. While in Monster Hunter, making your build and getting stronger involves doing the quests again and again and perfecting your build, you do that same process in the Souls games by exploring the world itself. If you treat every new area as an opportunity to become stronger, chances are pretty good that you will walk through this game, and hopefully come to love it as much as I and many other people do. Trust the dodge roll, level your health, upgrade your weapon, and if something feels impossible, ask yourself if you're missing something before you assume the answer is simply getting better. The challenge will still be there, but once you understand the way the game wants you to play it, everything starts making a lot more sense and feeling a lot better. That is my video on getting into the Souls games. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like, consider subscribing if you want to see me just talk about whatever I feel like on any given day. I'm probably going to turn this into a short on how to get into the Souls games in general, because especially the RPG aspects, like the fact that your defense goes up so much just through leveling anything, is something that I think a lot of people don't know, even now. But yeah, I'm really happy with this video, I like how it turned out, and honestly, I just enjoy any chance to talk about the Souls games. I'm actually going to do a video on Night Rain tomorrow, specifically the current state of the Deep Night and multiplayer in that game, so if you like my Night Rain content, look forward to that. It's also just an easier video for me to make. Been really busy the last couple of days, which is why this wasn't a daily upload, but a semi-daily. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, see ya.